Good morning. How we all doing today? How is your area? How is the family? How is it going this week? Today is another Saturday as usual that will come to you with topics of interest, topic that connects with everyone, and we are here to reflect on those topics. And a lot of things happened this week. This week was Nigeria Independence Day celebration. So Nigeria turned 65, and happy independence in Nigeria. And a lot of topics are under that too. But we thought that let's talk about the Arise News anchor Sommie Maduagwu, who was robbed in a house in Abuja. She was armed robber came to our house out of fear, in order to escape death. She jumped into death. While she jumped from a house, 2-story building, and she dropped down. So she jumped on a pavement where she lost consciousness, and she was rushed to the hospital. As at the time they were rushing her, she was still very alive. So she was rushed to the hospital, and on getting to the hospital, the Abuja General Hospital rejected her. So, and that is the highlight of this conversation. I know there's a security concern there. There is an emergency promptness conversation in there. And also there's a part of the hospital there in this conversation. Number one, safety. Are we safe in Nigeria? Armed robber can easily call. I thought we were over armed robbery incidents in Nigeria. I thought now that we have Yahoo, armed robbers have reduced. I didn't know that this is still, very prominent in Nigeria. And also the aspect of emergency promptness. This person called the police. They could not arrive on time, or probably she didn't trust the police enough to have waited for them before she tried to jump and to save herself. And also the area of the health workers. She was rushed to the hospital. She had not died, as at that time she was taken into the hospital. But when they got to the hospital, they rejected her. So, and we've had cases of rejection, in Nigeria hospitals. We've had cases of hospital negligence in Nigerian hospitals. So we have so many cases that has to do with hospital. And we say, okay, let's talk about the aspect of the hospital in today. A lot of people have lost confidence in Nigerian hospitals. A lot of people go there and still call God, like, God help, God I beg go. And we've had cases of where we saw that some of the health workers, they're on the phone, they don't attend to patients, or they are rude to their patients. So many cases, incident like that. So today we have a guest in our midst. So we'll be having a doctor who will be talking about the policies, things that happen in the hospital that we don't know. A lot of time we think some things are negligence from the part of the doctors, and it is not. So he will be shedding more light on that with us today. So while we wait for other co-hosts and other people too, and also for our guests, we will be joining this conversation. Our guests will be joining this conversation on that. So are we ready? Are we ready for today's conversation? It's going to be heated, and I know it's going to be there's going to be a lot of fun in there too. Let's get all the hosts also to come in. A lot of time when we all come to the hospital, probably, expectations are so high, and the issue of money too. Doctors want to get their money, their pay first, or they want their family members to get them to pay for before they are being attended to. What can we do in that aspect? Should government wait? Should people wait till they have money before they go to hospital? Are hospitals now more of business more than saving lives? These are many more we'll be discussing. Are they after saving lives, or they are only after, making sure that money is being made? Money is so important. Okay. So, a Nigerian hospital now more businesses first, or the hospital second? And why do we have a lot of Nigerian hospitals turning away from emergencies? Could it be that they don't want to have record of death when they know that this person is going to die, and they don't want to be in the family's record of, oh, this hospital killed our patient, and they just say, okay, move your patient out of our hospitals? Is it like that? Or what is happening in Nigerian hospitals today? What's our faith in Nigerian hospital today? Why do rich people find care? People that are rich, oh my goodness, when they have money, they go to private hospitals. They get enough care. They can access all the care, and those hospitals are well equipped. Then Nigerian hospitals, the government hospitals, oh, you go there at your own risk. Should we continue like that? And also, the doctors, they are so quick to refer patients from the government hospital to their private hospital because they want to make money. This same set of people are the ones doing hospital businesses. You're a government worker, they'll tell you, oh, come to, they are consultant in government hospital. They'll tell you, come to a private hospital so you can get enough care. And at the end of the day, you still don't get anything. So how do we, have these checks? What do we do? Who should be held responsible for hospital rejection? Should it be the doctor? Should it be the hospital? Or should it be the government itself? Because maybe they keep mortality rate and ask, patients, hospitals about their mortality rate, and people don't want to have increased rate of mortality. So what other things should we look out for? Have you ever experienced or seen somebody who has been neglected from hospitals? What I've known so far in Nigerian hospitals, like, if you have more than a headache, just continue to say, God, I beg you, God, I beg you. Because people that I've known that had more than headache, small sicknesses, those are the ones that have gone to hospital and come back. People that have cancer, they don't come back. People that have big names of sicknesses, most of them, they may not come back. They may not come back. So it's only God, I beg you, Nigerian hospitals. I don't even know if these our doctors are even studying. I don't know what they are reading. So as much as I don't want to trivialize the efforts, what they do to us, and at the same time, we ask questions. Why do we have mortality rate so much in Nigerian hospitals? Like, they reject, they do. So, let me say, Olumide is here. So I'm going to invite you. Yeah, I'm trying to add our doctor. I think the network is slow. Is it your network or my network? Okay, connection failed. I think it could be his connection because Nigeria thing always different now. I don't know whose connection, so let me just preempt Nigeria. So hospital negligence is so common. A lot of people complain about hospitals. I've had somebody come on one national TV to discuss how hospital neglected his wife to die after birth. A lot of people talk about their experience in Nigerian hospitals. If you search on social media, different stories, and they're all about Nigerian hospital, negligence, negligence, negligence. Or probably because of asking people to pay money, go and bring money, go and bring money, they leave the patient to, I don't know. They just leave the patient at the mercy of God or at the mercy of God, I beg you. So many cases like that. Super, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Oh, my favorite podcast show. Yes, so thank you for being part of us here. You're a blessing, right? You mean so what to the podcast and to me. The network is acting up. The doctor is struggling to come in here. So, yes, so Nigeria will hail the happy independence day to Nigeria. Dr. Olu, what's up? What's happening? Okay, I'm gonna invite you again, Olumide. Okay, Tayo, I saw your request. After him, I'll try you again. I can only pick guys one by one. Okay. Okay, thank you for joining, Olumide. How are
Thank
you?
you for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you.
How's the week going? So everybody that have questions, come and provide them with questions. If you have been neglected in hospital, come and ask him why. Why now your people they do us like this? If so, Olumide, did you hear about the story of the Arise news anchor who was
Yes,
reported to have died after hospital rejected her?
I actually did. Well,
So what came to your mind when you saw that post?
well, Nigeria again is the first thing that came to my mind, or doctors at it again. Well,
Hmm.
not because I am saying that the doctor in charge or the doctors in charge were the cause, but that the doctors are getting the blow again. So, well, which might not even be the case because I saw from the hospital's PR and the police report says that the patient was brought in dead. All right, so and it is difficult to also believe the media because I know the media usually tries to the media usually try to like find taggings that erupt emotions, so to speak. So I don't trust the media, and but whatever it is, Sha, I just feel like it's, of course, it happens that there's negligence, and there's also what we term negligence in the medical practice, which is different from what everybody think negligence is.
Okay. I'll tell you, you're welcome. How you doing?
I'm so very fine. Thank you very much. It's so good to be here again.
I know, good to have you. So when you saw the story of the Arise anchor, news anchor, What came to your mind? Do you think it was a negligent, or Nigeria just happened to? Unfortunately, she made a post around August. She said, "May Nigeria not happen to me and my the loved ones." And Nigeria just happened to her. Number one, the robbery case. Number two, emergency response was not, prompt. Number three, the hospital rejected her. So she had three experiences of how Nigeria happened to her. So now we are just picking the hospital part
All
of it
right,
where,
number one, I don't like this term Nigeria happened to people when they want to refer to negative things. But if
okay,
Nigeria has actually enriched them, they don't remember to say that Nigeria happened to them. But it's only
okay,
when negative things happen to people, they keep saying that Nigeria happens to them. But people are
okay.
actually succeeding in the same Nigeria. I don't want to believe that it's only Nigeria that there is robbery.
Mm,
So why is it that the robbery is starting in Nigeria happening to her? So let's take that one off. But when I heard about what happened to her, I felt sad. I felt sad because something bad happened to someone. First of all, she's a human being and she deserves the sympathy. And she does not deserve to die like that. Coupled with the fact that she's an asset to the society. Okay, I'm not happy with the fact that something like that happened to her. And again, she was rejected by the hospital. When I heard that she was rejected by the hospital, I felt so much pain because such things should not be happening to people. Hospital should, as in Nigeria, hospital should get past issues of rejecting people,
mm,
just like that. It's becoming too much. A lot of people dying as a result of it. A lot of people dying as a result of hospitals rejecting them because of gunshot or wound at a crime scene. They will tell you to go and get police report. And before anybody will go and get police report for you, you might have lost your life. Something that they would have probably treated you first, then police report later. Okay, so I feel that it was bad and that the law around that is actually also very terrible. Because I can remember engaging a doctor sometimes ago regarding the issue of police report. Because I was at the hospital sometime and somebody was brought in from a gunshot too, and the relative were told to get police report, and the person wasn't attended to. So I was shocked that this person might die. So I asked the person that why will you not treat? He said that if it was the thief that was shot, that he would have questions to answer to. When he explained to me, then I couldn't really blame him for rejecting the person. Okay, that by the time he's been treated and police come, they might not even say whether he's a victim anymore. They will say that is he alliance or that they are in alliance with themselves and all of those things. That so for that kind of reasons, that no matter how kind you are, the fact that you might likely be at the receiving end will not allow you to even treat in the first place. You will want to get a police report before you attend to patients like that. So, I was able to understand that, okay, I think it's something that the government need to work on and also sensitize the police about. Because if you pass a law and the police are not being sensitized, it boils down to the people at the receiving end. I remember being in the being in the police station sometimes ago with someone, and I was demanding for bail because the person that took the person to the police station was already they've already signed an agreement. I think a job was given and it was not completed on time, and an agreement was already signed. And I expect that the person that came should just walk home. After all, an agreement has been signed, and when something happened, he was not allowed to go home. He was told to bail himself, pay some money, and in the human rights spirit in me just went to the IPO, and I remember the IPO telling me that I should get out. That if you should write a statement against us, we will
okay,
rot in
Tayo,
cell. So
Tayo.
I think it boils down to our government and the police authority for that.
Okay, good. So now, in today's conversation, Olumide is the one who wants to drill. So we are not doing much of that talking. Olumide is doing most of the talking. We'll be asking him questions, and if he wants that comes to us, we just answer it based on our knowledge and direct it back to him. So
That would
now,
be great.
Olumide, why do
Yeah.
many Nigerian hospitals turn away? Oh, sorry, apologies. Dr. Olumide, familiarity, don't they furnish me, oh.
Emma, the respect is kini now.
Mutin last with the respect. Okay, Dr. Olumide, why do many Nigerian hospitals turn away emergency? What are the give us reasons, few reasons why they turn away from emergencies instead of saving a life first?
Okay. Well, there are a couple of reasons why hospitals might turn away patients. Well, none of the, let me say, most of the reasons that I'm seeing on social media are not the right reasons to turn away patients. Doctors that turn away patients or hospitals that turn away patients because of, for example, the first reason basically is suspicion that the person might be a victim of a police gunshot wound, and attending to the patient without informing the police might be seen by the law as being an accomplice to whatever the crime the police or the thief or whoever was shot committed. And so there is that, and there has been so many cases like that where doctors trying to do his work just gets into lawsuit and is trying to like use all of his life savings to bail himself from lawsuit and all of that. And knowing the case of Nigerian police, go not one but come. So getting into that kind of situation might be very crazy, because you're just trying to save a life, and then you're in a lawsuit and all of that, ripping you of millions of naira and all of that. So that happens. That's one reason. And also that the case might also lead to death. And same thing happening again. The case might lead to death, or maybe it's a moribund patient, a patient that is prone to die in quotes now, that is likely to die, and they bring to the hospital, and you can already tell by the maybe vital signs and all of that that this patient is likely not going to make it, especially with the equipment and the skill that is available. And so you know that this patient might not make it, and so you don't want it to happen to you, because there have been cases where doctors have been brutalized because patient relative beat them because the patient died and all of that. And most of doctors, I don't know if you've noticed, they are not very bulky and all of that to defend themselves. So they just beat them and all of that. And so that happens a lot. And also because they might even sue get the doctor arrested, which is a very common thing also. So in a way, I don't blame doctors that turn away patients, because they're trying to save themselves also. They also have families, they also have relatives that care about them. And so they should not, because of somebody else's wahala, get themselves into wahala. So there is that. And there's also the financial ability, thinking that this patient might not be able to pay for the treatment. And personally, I've seen that many times, especially in private hospitals, when they'll bring a patient in, they'll rush the patient in, emergency, and you attend to the patient. And after the patient has stabilized, maybe has regained consciousness or whatever, and you're not telling them about the bill, they'll be like, why is the bill this much? And why is this? Maybe you called it 300K, they'll be like, 300 lórí kíni, mo ṣẹ̀dí láti bí àná, I just came back, I just got here yesterday and you're already billing me 300K for what and all of that. And while saying it, they are ripping off the cannula and all of that from their hands and trying to get away that, what's the meaning of this? I did not expect that it should be more than 50K, that kind of thing. So, and that's loss for the hospital. Although you are patient first, patient life comes first, but there's also the business aspect of it. Else there will be no hospital for the patient to even come in the first place. So those are the reasons, and they are not genuine according to both the Nigerian Constitution and also the Medical Ethics Act, that it is not genuine enough. And any doctor that does that should actually, that tosses away patient without a genuine reason, is liable to a lawsuit, and it's a punishable offense. In fact, it's a criminal offense according to both our medical ethics and the Nigerian Constitution. So those are the common reasons. But like I said, they are not tenable because our Hippocratic oath, the one we swore, is that we deal with the life first, try to save lives first before any other thing, and that we don't consider whether social stratum or strata. We don't consider political affiliations. We don't consider race. We don't consider anything while we are attending to the patients. So those are what our Hippocratic oath says, and anybody that does outside of that is against the law. So those are the common reasons.
Yeah, so before others prepare their question, I don't know if they have any, but let's assume that, by law, you just said it, like Hippocratic oaths, all these oaths, doctors does not have, the government too says you guys should treat. Then if the patient does not pay, is there any policy, is there any NGO, is there any other government that pays for these people, even if they don't pay later?
In private hospital, there is nothing like that. In private hospitals, there is nothing like that. Or I'm not aware of anything like that. But in government hospital, yes. For example, in the teaching hospital where I used to work, there is for a patient that comes in with in emergency and they don't have their relatives with them, there is a package that they can be given, at least to stabilize them first before finances are discussed. So, and I think that's the way it should be. Government hospitals, there's the package, or there's an amount of money that can be spent on the patient to stabilize the patient first before we now start considering. And so if after the stabilizing, the patient still cannot afford the money, then there is people that we call the social workers. Those are the people that will now speak with the patient and maybe draft a plan on how he or she will be able to pay back. Maybe he has to sell something. We should draft out the plan on how to pay back. But that is not in most teaching hospitals that I'm aware of. In government, they treat the patient first, and then the social worker will do the rest.
Okay, thank you. Bro, today, any question for our doctor? Hello? Hello? Internet. What's happening?
But you.
So do you have any question for?
Oh, do I have any question? Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, doctor. Thank you very much for joining us and providing this insight. So my question is actually maybe like twofold. You talked about the fact that doctors need to safeguard themselves, right? And I know that even beyond the Hippocratic oath, there's been legislations that ensures that whether it's emergency cases or gunshot wound, is under the provision of the law, right? Like, for instance, the Compulsory Treatment and Care of Victims of Gunshot Act, which was 2017, and then the National Health, and then the National Health Act of 2014. Both acts kind of like says that save the victim first before asking the questions. But what we are seeing is that doctors are still requesting for police. And of course, you've mentioned it. So the question I want to ask is, I know that medical doctors in Nigeria are endangered species. Of course, I've seen that firsthand with patients beating the doctors and all of that. Who do we run to provide that sort of protection for doctors? Because in all of these conversations, I've never heard what MDCN is doing, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, because I believe they should be the body that should at least be in front of the doctors to protect them from such. And again, you're part of the body, so you might not be able to speak as an activist, but who do you think the Nigerian populace need to direct their anger to? And before you kind of answer that, there's another one that I want to pile up so I can shut up. There's been cases on social media of people saying that whenever they go to the hospital, of course I've witnessed it, that they'll tell them that when you're coming, bring your bed sheets and all of that. But what I've seen is people say this and direct the anger to the people that are asking them for this bedsheet. Of course, they can't use their money for the bedsheet. It should come from somewhere. So if you kind of like need to share your insight to people watching, who do you think we collectively as Nigerians need to be setting our gaze on in terms of things like this?
Okay. First of all, you mentioned the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Those are the ones that actually, because there are some situations that to a layman, they might not be able to make the good what's the word? Make a good clinical judgment because they don't even know what it entails, and that brings. Sorry, I'm going to divert a bit, and that brings me to this thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it's the effect that when you don't know something enough, you don't even know that you don't know something enough, and so you claim to be what's the word? You claim to be an authority over something that you don't even know enough, mostly because you don't know that you don't know it enough. And so, like I was saying, now the patient comes in, and for example, I have assessed the patient. I have known that this thing is beyond what I can do in this facility that I'm in. If the patient relatives goes to report eventually that, and the patient relative goes to report to the police or something, it is when the case comes back to me, it is the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Those are the ones I would tell that we understand the medical aspect, that this patient comes in, would need dobutamine, would need this and this, but I don't have it. And so the best thing for me to do, according to part of my Hippocratic code, to be on the patient's side, to try to save the lives first, it is in the best interest of the patient for me to refer this patient to another facility where they might have it. And so when somebody sees that, when a layman sees that or hears that, he doesn't even know that that's the reason why I'm referring. They think of it as rejection.
Exactly.
It's not rejection. It is not rejection because I know the things that are involved. For example, I was at work one day. I work in a private hospital, and they brought in a patient. Let me not give the details, but they brought in a patient, and the patient was pale. And from quick examination, after they brought the patient in, I thought that this patient is in anemic heart failure. The next thing to do is for this person to get blood transfusion and to get some distance to keep the heart pumping still. And but we don't have it, the allotropic agent. We don't have it here at my hospital. We don't have blood available. If I'm going to, the best thing I can do is to maybe try to go and source for blood for the patient, and that would probably take about an hour. Instead of holding out the patient because of finances, I say, quick, take this patient and take the patient to where they might have blood, maybe a government hospital or something. The patient relative would see it as me rejecting the patient, whereas from what I have, from the things that the equipment and even the skill that I have, this patient needs to go elsewhere for his own sake. So now it is the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria that would fight for me in that case because they understand the medical aspect of it, and the layman will want to sue me anyway. So, but the other part of the question that you asked was that who does the public go to in things like that? I think it's basically the police or the courts, and maybe go and sign or something. I've not been a victim of that, so I don't know the full process of it really. But I think it is to go to the police and tell them that they suspect that there's negligence and all of that, and then I want to, through the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, try to sort the issue. I don't know if I fully answered the question.
Yeah, you did in a part. My point is, the reason I'm bringing it up is the way this conversation is flowing in social media. It's pretty much putting a bull's eye on the back of doctors and hospitals, which shouldn't be, right? So my question is more around what would be the right sensitization so that people know that this thing that you're talking about, these doctors and hospitals, they are working with a guideline, just as you said, according to what MDC says. But the way they are propagating the message in social media would pretty much create a sort of negative PR for doctors in Nigeria and hospitals in Nigeria. So being a doctor, what do you think can be done better so that people know the right things and the right channel for them to direct their grievances to, and not just the doctors and hospitals?
Well, well, I would say that most of this thing, most of this harm is caused by the media. And honestly, I think that the maybe the Medical and Dental Council
More.
of Nigeria or the Medical Association should maybe try to start
Awareness.
holding the media personnel responsible for what they say in the first place. In that, first of all, if for example, most of the taggings about this person that died now, the Arise TV anchor, was mostly it's to instigate the doctor. Basically, that was what it was about. There wasn't really not much said about the robbery. It was mostly about the doctor, and I think
Exactly.
and that's what would get them to get the feedback that they need from the populace. And so I feel like they should be checked. For example, there was one of the questions one of the questions that I thought about, that I saw online, was um, should should maybe patients of rich, the wealthy shall be going to enjoying private testing, while
Yeah.
the while
Poor goes to the government
patients of
hospital. That
poor,
was would have been my next question for you.
while the patients of poor should be left. No, the word "to be left" now makes it look like it's a negligence issue. It's mostly the PR. So I think that number one, there should be sensitization by the governing bodies of the medical for the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, the Nigerian Medical Association. There should be sensitization, and there should also the media people too should be checked for what they say and should be held liable for what they are suggesting to the population. Because it is crazy, and because most people, this is the media age, where most of the things that we consume are on the social media. Imagine somebody saying things like that, and like that worsening the situation than it already is. It's just crazy, and putting the doctors at the center of the crossfire is just something, because it's like holding civil engineers responsible for bad roads, or holding pilots responsible for rickety planes. It's not the problem of all of those people. It's not the doctor that is causing all of these things. It's the result of what the government has led us into. I've been in hospitals where I've been in teaching hospitals. I've been in hospitals, general hospitals, where there are some basic things. Let me not. Let me not
Expose
just
yourself.
go to
You're
the details.
expose.
I should not expose ourselves, but there are some things. There are some things that it just shows that the governments are not really doing what they are supposed to be doing. And so, but it is the doctors, the health practitioners, that are getting the backlashes for all of these things. So again, I don't know what to do, but I think it is the media that is causing most of this problem, from my own
Leave me there
perspective.
alone. No.
And so
Leave me there. And if you do good,
I
we'll
know
talk
it is the
about
media,
you.
honestly.
Leave our
It is the
media
media.
alone. Tayo, do you have any question for him?
There is question. Oh, all right. I was having a conversation with one of my parents recently, and she was like, "I think it is high time we start suing our doctors and our hospitals for some certain things." All right. She was saying that I think I have something similar to that when it comes to baby. She said that there is this relative of hers that gave birth, and they realized that the child was not shaking to sound, and the doctor did not even, as in, they actually laid their complaint to the hospital, and they said that the child was still small for them to, that the child is small and there was nothing wrong with the child, only for the child to grow, and they realized that this child cannot hear at all. That the same thing happened to another relative, that they noticed something, like a mucor running through the baby's throat. And they're like, can you still draw out this mucor? When you just give birth to children and the things they do to them. You understand? So they were like, they were like, the baby is fine. That she had to insist that they draw out the mucor. And I can remember that similar thing happened to my baby too when I just gave birth to my last born. It was actually a C-section, and I noticed that the boy was always having something like sort of, and before you know anything, and he's already, yes. So my husband was insisting, because I was quite weak. He was insisting that after all, we've bought mucus extractor that they need another mucus extractor he can go and get. Let them remove the mucus in his throat, and we were told that the baby was fine and all of those things, only for us to get home, and after some couple of weeks the boy started developing catarrh, and we realized, we were told that it's because the mucus were not completely removed. So that is that we should not worry that with time, as it grows, it will clear. These are small things that we would expect that our doctors should put eyes on. And a lot of things has happened that has affected the children. So I want to ask our doctor now that what should be the consequence to a doctor who does not actually go through due process? Is that what is the question, right?
Yes,
Concerning
yes.
newborns. Because I think that
Okay.
these are due process. When you give birth to a child, there are some certain things you're supposed to do to the newborn so that growing up, these small things will not affect the child. So I think a lot of these things is affecting children
Okay.
more now. So what should be done? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that question. I think that first of all, if the government setting, I think the best thing to do is to go to the building or admin block and lay your grievances to them there, and then they would sort it. I think some of the things that happen, especially because I'm more exposed to I'm exposed to both the private and the government settings. So, but I think one of the things that happens is that some of the doctors go unchecked. And for example, let's say, and most of these doctors go unchecked. There are some things that they are supposed to do that even fellow colleague would know that a colleague would know that you're supposed to do this way. And that's the reason why in government hospitals, there's something that we call rapport. There's something where we call a meeting where doctors come together to discuss patient care. For example, a patient was admitted. A patient was admitted the night before, came with this, and this. Now, in the second, after you have stabilized the patient or something, in the next morning, be sure that you are going to what's the word? You are going to present that patient to your superiors. So now, this patient came in. Did you give this? Did you do this? So what happened? Why is the patient still like this? And all of that. There is all of that bombarding and questioning, especially in government hospitals. So the point of it is to make the doctors, number one, to check the doctors, especially the junior doctors that are not as skillful as the senior ones, and also to bring a bit of sanity to the medical settings, so that they know that whatever they are doing, they are going to get reprimanded or praised, however the case might be on that particular case. So I think the best thing to do is probably to talk to the hospital authorities and lay your grievances to them, and whatever should be done will be done. But there's also a thin line between doing that sort of thing, maybe laying your grievances and complaining and all of that, and also being unfair to the doctor. Now, according to statistics, the WHO organization, they recommend ratio of 1 doctor to 600 patients. As at like 2022, 1 doctor to 3,500 patients. That's 2022. In 2023, that's 2023, 2 years ago. It is now 1 doctor to 10,000 patients. All right, and now it is even worse now, because there is a lot of immigration now. Most doctors have emigrated. Those that didn't emigrate saw that, okay, there is no money in medicine, and they have found they are looking for greener pastures. So there are fewer doctors in Nigeria than ever. There are fewer doctors, and so all of them are escaping. In fact, those that are remaining, because of the excessive workload, for the little that are remaining, that are remaining are even leaving. So now and this one that I said now, that 1,000, 1 patient to 10,000, 1 doctor to 10,000 patients, even masks the significant ratio in some other places like Jigawa. Jigawa is currently 1 doctor to 27,000 patients. So I think that the what's it called, the grievances should be more at the government, and not the doctors. Because really, I understand the patient's side of the story. That of course, if we come to the hospital, we expect to get the maximum care. Where we expect that okay, things that should be done for our patient, for our loved ones. But there's also the part of the doctor. When one doctor, now an average doctor in the US runs 50 hours, works 50 hours in the whole week, right? But in Nigeria, an average doctor works 168 hours. That's almost all the hours in the whole week. Yes, and it has been like that. I've worked 168 hours many, in fact, uncountable number of times. Imagine me, it's difficult to be compassionate. It's difficult to be compassionate or detailed when you've not had like 3 days of sleep or 2 days of sleep. It's difficult to have your mind in the game when you know that after finishing this, you still have like 200 patients waiting for you to be seen before the day ends. So it's crazy, really. And like I said, I understand the patient's part of the divide, but then there's also a thin line between being unfair to the doctors too, because it's
so you know that you do
very,
make sure you don't fall sick in Nigeria.
exactly,
Please.
and that's why people like what's this man now on this thing that is Aproko doctor doing all the prevention that is possible is actually helping us for those that are obeying it, because if you are sick now, it's difficult to get the optimum care required because of shortages of doctors and loss of the brain drain that's happening in the medical field. So yeah, that's what I would say. But in the long run, things that must be said must be said. Patients should be given adequate care, and so they should be it should be taken up with the hospital authority, and that's why we have them. We have the CMAC, we have the CMD, we have all of that, where you can throw your grievances at and it will be sorted.
Okay, so I think you just answered this person's question. Said if a patient is rejected based on police report, is there any system to report to? I think you just mentioned that you can report to, but after the best people don't mind because
yeah, but that's this, because like I said, although it is against the law, and it is against the law of 2014 and 2017, both in the Medical Act and the National Health Act. So it is against the law. Any doctor that does that should be sued. Really, should really be sued, because it has been emphasized in the medical field so much that it should not be done. So anybody that does it is on his own. I'm not going to fight for something like that, because it's part of our Hippocratic Oath, it's part of our choice, it's part of the thing that we decided to do. So anybody that rejects a patient because of that is liable to be sued. In fact, I feel like the public should be told that they can win millions from lawsuits if a doctor is negligent at work.
Yes. That's a good one. So this person still asks, can we hold the hospital responsible for any damages? But how will you know there's a damage? Just make sure that there's damage before you sue them. That's another thing.
Know that there is damage before you sue them, because there are some things that a layman, like I said, a layman would think as a damage, but it's probably just the consequence of the person's illness, or maybe just the expected turn of the patient's case. For example, a patient that came with maybe acute kidney injury that has a renal failure, and the person eventually dies, it is most likely from the distance, not because of negligence. So the person has to be able to prove that it is not the sickness that killed the patient or that caused the damage. So yeah, but hospital can be held responsible. Hospitals can be held responsible.
So is it the hospital, the government, or both of them? We can pack all of them together.
It depends on which aspect. There's the private sector and the government sector, the public sector. Okay. So for the public sector, it is you can't hold one doctor. Actually, you would have to hold the hospital in public sector. So it is the hospital that would fight for the doctor, but in private, might be the doctor.
In private, in private hospitals, why do we hold businesses first before human life? Like you created, though I know privately is for business to be, it's for business purpose, and you want your money first before you treat patient. Why is it like that? Can't they
That's
adopt a
maybe
style from the US? You know, we copy a lot of things in US, but when it comes to the one that will work, that will benefit patient, or benefit the society, we don't remember to copy that. Can't we have, you know, make everybody, this tax thing that they are doing, can't we have health insurance in Nigeria too?
there are health insurances, both the
Okay.
public, both the government health insurance and the private health insurance. So there is, it's just that a lot of people don't subscribe to it. If they
Why?
subscribe to it, it will make all of these things better. So that's another thing where sensitization would work better. Try to tell people that you can just enroll for NHIS if you are working for the government, or HMO if you are working for the private, and be secure that whenever you have a health issue, you can have something to fall back on. And aside the NHIS and the HMO or the health insurance, there should also be a place for medical or emergencies. People should save up for emergencies so that there will be no stories that touch. Because honestly, like I would always say, although the hospital is there for the people to save lives first, but then if people like that I mentioned earlier, because I've seen it many times, after they get better, they want to teach you. And in fact, it still happened last week for me. A patient came in unconscious. There was nothing, no pulse was very low. In fact, the patient was in a critical state. After the patient got treated, we're now talking about the price. Because of the emergency now, we could not talk about the price. We treated the patient got better. We said, this is your bill. And the person saying, no, why is the bill that much? If I had gone to this other hospital, it would not have been better. Eventually, the person paid half of it. Now, the hospital is the one that had to bear that brunt. Imagine, so if that happens like 10 times in a private hospital, then there'll be no hospital to run to in the first place. So those are the things that those are the nuances that we have in this thing, that nobody is hearing the doctor's side of the story or the government owners, because everybody says, of course, which is right, that life should be saved first. But there is also the business. The person that came to start up an hospital is not running an NGO. Is looking for profit too, although life is important. So there is also the business aspect of it, which should not be overruled too.
In America, you don't have a choice. Whether you like it or not, you pay for insurance. They don't make it optional. You get choice, you go pay. So
exactly,
like in most unless you are deviant to the law, we always have non-compliant people. But most people are on insurance. It's part of, like, you have to.
Nigeria is going there too. Tinubu is working. We're moving towards compulsory rental and homeowners insurance. Next one will be medical insurance. And you look.
So this person is asking that, doctor, I found out that Nigeria has the second highest infant mortality rate in the world, with over 60,000 babies dying every year, making it 70 babies a day, 700 babies a day. Many of these cases go to the fact that neglect or the healthcare provider are not being skilled at what they do. Do we still blame the public for this, or the?
I think I'd like to add to that, so that it will have a solid solid background for the question that you just asked. All right. So in 2018, 2019, sorry, I was pregnant. I was put to bed of a baby girl who would have rather be the only baby girl I have, And on getting to the hospital, I did not meet the doctor that usually attend to me. I met another doctor when I was actually in labor, So I told this doctor I met, I insisted that they call the doctor that usually attend to me, because my first child happens to be with a CS. The second one, it was VD. All right. So the third one, I've already spoken to the doctor, and we already agreed that on any day I was going to put to bed, that wherever he is, he should be called, that he will attend to me. Okay, because he was the one that actually knows how the second one was delivered. And since I was going to deliver the third one too via vagina, it is important that he's also there so that he can monitor the process. So I met another doctor, of which before we left home, because it happened on a weekend, We've been trying to call him and his phone was switched off. So on getting to the hospital, we were my husband was insisting that they call him, but they refused to call him. So the doctor in charge was attending to me. And I remember asking the doctor in charge, have you been told of the procedure of my delivery? She said I should not worry. And somehow the baby came out of the part that was initially caught when I had my first child and was strangled to death while coming out. So that was how the baby died. Now, that's, I think, to me, is negligence. Because if she had listened to me and so staff had listened to my husband and called the doctor, they eventually called the doctor and the doctor came in less than 5 minutes. Just owing to the fact that he's actually not far. But this time around, the baby was already lost. So in that kind of situation, what should the family of the person do? Now, that is in relation to the question that was asked, that in a day 700 children are lost to death. I want to believe it is actually, everything cannot be that it is a natural cause of death. I think majority of it should be as a result of negligence. Do you agree to that, doctor?
And also to that,
Yeah,
do we have medical history in Nigeria? Do you have record of history? Do you have history record in Nigeria? Do you, like, oh, you know your record? We have where we have your record. Do you have that in Nigeria?
Yes, the hospital I went to, they had my record. They had all my delivery records. They had my record.
Okay, now for that now, I would try to be on the side of the I'm sorry about that anyway, but I'll try to be on the side of the doctor, because really it will be somehow, I don't know, the doctor that said he should be called should have informed every other doctor, because imagine not being on duty and somebody is calling me after I've done maybe like 5 days stretch, morning and night, and then I eventually have like 2 days off, and somebody is calling me, because I'm sure that's the reason why the other doctor did not call, because they probably feel like the person is overworked, the person will be hungry, and all of that. So I feel like the doctor that said he should be called should have given the rule that should have dropped the information that this person, if this person calls me or something like that, and so I think that would have done it. But and it's a, I don't know if he said it's a government hospital, but if it's a government hospital, it's usually the doctor that you meet. Nobody calls that. So it's not except in these cases, but it's not, the patient does not request for doctor in government hospital. It is the government that is the doctor that is available that would treat. It's only in private hospital that might be done. So it's only in private hospital that might be done and all of that. But in government hospital, they run shifts, they run days off and days on. So it is, if I'm sorry about it again, but if somebody, if every patient is asking for doctors, then there will be no need for maybe roster or something in the first place. So I think that's the reason why that person did not call, and I don't think that's negligence, because since the doctor that is available attended to you, although maybe not in the best capacity, or maybe not the
more skilled.
Maybe not more skilled, but I think it was just.
What is the place of? Excuse me, doctor. What is the place of a call, at least to know what procedure to take on the new patient? Because if a patient is
private
hospital,
doctor.
Yes, a private hospital. Is there no way you can actually call the previous doctor and ask what is the procedure for this person, or should we just go straight to the theater and all of those things? Because they insisted not calling the doctor at all. At all. I was even saying, can you please call the doctor to at least know the procedure, at least?
Yeah, I understand that, and I feel like the doctor should have given a note. For example, let's say in an antenatal visit now, there's a patient that comes. This patient is a high-risk patient, has some peculiarities, so to speak. It is the function of the doctor I have seen at that time to jot everything that he thinks. For example, to commence folic acid, to commence vitamin C, to commence this thing. This patient will benefit from viral markers in the next visit. should have written it so that the next doctor that will see at that ANC visit should have seen it, that okay, this is it, because well, that's the way it is done. That's the whole point of documentation. All right, that the patient should have written that this patient is being worked up for, is to be considered for, is something like that. So I think that's what should have been done, and maybe because the person did not see it there, that's why it was. I'm not in the situation, so I can't say directly that this is what should have been done or not. And so, but from what I know, from what is around, although maybe if I was the doctor, I might have listened and called somebody else. And in hospitals, the best doctors know when to refer or when to ask for
Help.
Help or second opinion. So that's the motto that most doctors or every doctor should work with, but not every doctor works with it. So the best doctor knows when to refer or when to ask for help. So I'm sorry about that. The doctor should have asked for help if he doesn't know what he's doing, or if he's not sure of what to do next. But I don't think it can be tagged as wrong directly because he didn't, but he might have if he decides to. So I think that's what I would say.
I had a similar case when I had my second born. So I was losing blood. They don't know where it was coming from. My primary doctor was not on duty that day. You know, they had a rotation. Like today, this doctor comes, he checks me, like, oh, the blood has not stopped. I said, can you call my primary doctor, like the doctor, my gynecologist? Can you call her and let her know that this is happening, because he knows how peculiar my case is. I'm also at high risk when I'm pregnant. So they said they have called her. That not only did they call the doctor, they've called other doctors. That 10 people were on the conference call on my case because they don't know where the blood was coming from. They've checked everything they need to do. They've done MRI. I've been to theater several times, and the blood did not stop, and they don't know what else to do. And they tried all they could. Like they said, 10 doctors. I don't know if that was true, but they told me what I needed to hear so that I can be safe. I think that doctor should have also told you what you needed to hear so that you can have a closure to what happened. I don't know if you get what I'm like, oh, we've called him, he's on his way. Oh, we tried to call him, his number is not available. Oh, he is aware of what is happening to you. You know, something like that. That will give you a closure in your head, but not trying to struggle power with you, like, oh, I'm in charge, let me do my job. That's what I see the doctor did with you. He was struggling power with you, that you can't teach me my job. I'm even more experienced than this doctor you asked me to call, which shouldn't be. You should have just said, oh, madam, we've tried to call him. He's aware of what is happening already. He has told us what to do. You know, based on the documentation, I believe he has written. That doctor should have told you that instead of struggling with you or trying to play, I know better than you. So that would have given you closure to what is happening. Because during my case, they told me, oh, the doctor is away. They just spoke to 20 doctors. The moment I heard that they spoke to 20 doctors on my case, I'm like, hey, so things like that give me this affirmation that they are doing their best on my case, that they didn't just leave me to die. I don't know if you understand that scenario. So
yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So sometimes our doctors, they are doing their job, but they don't know how to, express, talk sometimes. Hello me, just rude, and it's just the way you express to doctors. Yeah, the doctor was just rude.
The doctor was just rude, and that's why I would suggest that for anybody that has maybe peculiarity or the case seem maybe difficult, I would suggest government hospitals, because there are many doctors on the case. This is just and for private hospitals, it's usually just one or two. All right, so and Yoruba will say Agbajowola Fensanya, and so I think it's better for some cases that government hospital, and that's what happens in government hospital, where immediately you call the consultant, because the consultant will be on duty, the senior registrar will be on duty, the registrar will be on duty, house officers will be on duty. So there are all of those cadres on duty just in case anything goes wrong.
So now the case of this person saying there's no doctor on duty, and they said a minor surgery that nurse can do it. In a case whereby they're using you to do practical. So should nurses do surgery?
Nurses should not do surgery.
It's a minor surgery.
under any circumstances, nurses should not do surgery. They are not trained to perform surgery. They might assist, but they are not trained to perform. That was a big risk anyway. But
so if this person has, God forbid, if this person has died, who do we blame?
the nurse herself,
And is there any punishment
nurse,
like revoking of license to doctor, the nurse? Because those
yes,
are also major
that
fear
happens
in
very
America
that,
here.
that happens very often.
We don't get to hear. Media don't take that. We don't get to hear when licenses are revoked.
That happens too often than the media knows. There are a lot of cases that that licenses are revoked and ASAP as soon as possible. So it occurs. And the reason why it's not, that's it. Another thing I was trying to say, that the media are not being loud on that, just for the. So there are many, especially if the clear-cut negligence or clear-cut irresponsibility and the aspect of the doctor, it should be revoked ASAP.
As well.
So, yeah.
Any other question for him before he goes, before we call it a day?
Yeah, it's really done justice to the question. The last question, I saw something that for the remaining doctors that are available, how do you guys cope with the number of people you work with? Because a friend of mine went to the hospital some times ago, and the consultant she met was almost crying. Apparently, she's the last one of her family, and she has worked a double shift for the third day, and that particular day she was supposed to close early, and the person that she's supposed to hand over to is not forthcoming, so which means she had to stay on her seat and keep attending to people. And my friend said this lady broke down crying like, I'm tired. I'm tired. So I sincerely want to ask, how do you people cope with the demand? Because sometimes I feel somewhat, but the thought of going to the hospital and drain another doctor is scary to me. I just stay back at home and tell myself that I'll be fine. Let me do my test first and be sure that I need to go to the hospital in the first place. So it's actually, I don't know, how do you people cope? Let me put it that way.
Well, a lot of people don't, especially the females in the profession, because it's not easy juggling being a doctor, being on almost 24 hours,
And a wife.
perpetually call, and then a wife and a mother of maybe 3. It's usually not difficult. Many times we catch each other crying in the call rooms and all of that. So it happens, but it's just what it is. And so after most of these people like that, especially the ladies, after crying, they step out again, clean their chairs and go and see the next patient. And of course, working with a lot of people can come with its own stress. Aside the physical
Yes.
stress in the work, there's also the psychological stress that some patients put
Yes.
doctors through. And
True.
so,
Yes.
well, that's the thing. There's no
Mental stress too, because they are dumping their burdens on you every
Yes,
day.
because
yeah.
I can remember when I lost that baby, I went to the doctor and I was telling the doctor that I'm not crying. And the doctor was like, okay, do you think you should cry? I said, I just lost the baby. I carried this pregnancy for 9 months and I lost it and I'm not crying. That, am I not supposed to cry? I lost something. This is not money. This is not phone. This is a whole life. And I'm not crying. And he was like, I should calm down. That I might probably be living in. But when I was explaining to
My
him,
doctor will
that is
cry
the main
tire for
doctor,
me.
I could see him. I could see it written all over his face that he kind of felt guilty about me losing the child. So at the point, I just stopped telling him what was wrong with me, because I don't like putting my problem
Body.
on people when I know that is actually affecting them negatively. So it was written all over his face that guilt was written all over his face and all of those things. And what he could come up with is that probably I'm using religion to kill the pain, that I should not worry, sooner or later that the whole thing will come back, and that I will just, that when I decide to feel like crying, when I feel like crying, when the cry eventually comes, I should just allow it flow. I should not bottle it down. I should just, that was what, but I could see all over his face that guilt is written all over it. For that kind of a person, to the person will be feeling some kind of emotional pain So how do you people cope? One needs to care about you people.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, the doctors feel as much as patient relatives sometimes. Of course, it can't be all the time, because of course somebody I have grown up with and maybe related with very cordially. But doctors also feel many of these things. The loss of a patient. I remember there was the time the patient was brought in. It was actually BID, and the patient was brought in dead. But I wish that the patient was brought in a little earlier. It was a pediatric patient, just a young girl. I wish that the patient was brought in earlier and that I was able to save the girl. Because after I announced to the patient, to the relatives that the patient packed, the way they were crying and all of that, I was not looking. I was just like, I was sad, but of course, being the doctor now, I can't be crying with them. I can't be rolling on the floor with them. But it is what it is really. It's of course it happens, especially for more emotional people in the press. Am I still here?
My own doctor usually cry with me. Oh, each time I go crying in front of my gynecologist, we cry together. We cry together. Woman is sharing details. Me too, I'm saying sorry. You say sorry. All of us say sorry. So, and I have one also, my family doctor, being in Nigeria. Each time I go again, talking about my situation, he'll be like, that man becomes a pastor, he becomes a mental health psychologist, he becomes a psychiatric. He will do everything in one, trying to encourage me, trying to quote the word of God, he will preach. It's not a soft doctor. Me, I like it too, because I feel that he's vulnerable with me. Like she understands what I'm going through, so she could feel me, and I like the fact that she could feel me. She's not looking like somebody like, oh, normal thing. It's not normal. Like that's one thing I like her for. When I'm crying, like my tears are rolling, like I want to. She's doing like this. She's cleaning up. I'm like, oh, sorry, I made you cry. Sorry. So
Somebody is asking a question before we leave. That is it permissible for a government doctor to own his own private hospital?
They do it too, and they refer their patient to death
Is
themselves.
it
Oh yeah, hold me down.
permissible? Be putting doctor there now. He's a doctor. If it was his, he would have studied medicine too.
Okay, he left to go. I think he left. He went to. So, doctor, I'm so sorry, but I think he left, or maybe he had to attend to his patient. So
His
it's
network
possible.
has been fluctuating. I guess it's the network.
Okay, maybe the network. Oh, it should be the network. Let me see if it's around so I can bring him back. That was the time when immediately when he finished, I just called him and said, no, don't call me Olumide again. Call me Dr. Olumide. I said, I'll get used to it.
Is easy.
So we're talking about, is it permissible for private government doctor to own a private hospital while still working with the government?
Yes, it is permissible. In fact, that's the only way to solve. That's the common way to survive as doctors in Nigeria. Anyway, so they do, but the problem is that they separate it. They don't take private government patients. In fact, most doctors that own private hospitals and also work at the hospital, they try as much as possible not to even allow the patient that they met at the teaching hospital or government hospital to know that they have a private hospital. But if they come to them personally, that's a different case. And I've seen it many times. This is not even hypocrisy or anything. I've seen it many times play out how that they don't, if they are government patients, they don't bring them to their private facilities. And if they're private patients, except they need the government hospital, that's when they will refer to them. But they don't mix things up.
Okay. I think it's really, because for business purpose, you'll be like, oh, this patient, come to me, I can take care of you. Then you refer them to private hospital, even when their case is not that serious for private hospital. You think you're saying the truth, or you think it's that's how other doctors are doing it? Let me put it that way.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have the power to change one thing to make people stop, dying due to hospital negligence or rejection, what is that thing you would do?
it would be that the government should fund the healthcare more, and that there are two things, and that there should be more public awareness on both health-seeking behavior, mostly. And so I think it is mostly that the government should fund the healthcare so that people can have better access to it, and doctors are well remunerated so that they'll be encouraged to stay back instead of leaving.
Can I ask your opinion on this thing? What is your opinion on governments encouraging people to study medicine and also giving them scholarship to do so because of the rate at which we the doctors are jackpot, and also putting strict measures on Nigerian trained doctors on how on as to how they relocate. Yes, because the brain drain is terrible. It's terrible.
Sorry, I forgot. I didn't get the second part of the question.
The first part is encourage people to study medicine by giving them scholarship.
Yeah. The second part.
And the second part is making sure that those people that are already trained should not japa.
Okay. Well, for the first question, I think that medicine is more of a thing of, I think there is a part of it that has to be very passionate, like has to have passion in it, because of the stress and the labor to go through medical school and even in the practice. The labor is too much. The labor has to be backed up by conviction, has to be backed up by intention, desire, and this thing, because the house is too much. The years, 8, 9, 10 years sometimes to study medicine, and then coming to healthcare that is not well funded, no equipment. Government don't really have what's it called, have the healthcare in mind, and so it has to be funded by compassion too, and desire. But if there are people that are willing to, that want to, and have the ability to study it, because, like, again, it is not a very easy thing to study medicine. It is actually not a very easy thing. There are a lot of things to read. There are a lot of information to retain. The human body is very complicated. There are a lot, like I said, a lot of information to retain. And so there is also the aspect of, should I say, brilliance in studying medicine. But if all of those criteria are met, then I think they can be encouraged to study medicine and even scholarship. That would really help. Because there are a lot of people that are even dropping out of med school because they are unable to pay. So that would go a long way. You said something.
So what of the jackpot? Like they should put measures for people that want to relocate.
That's one thing. But the measures they can put to reduce it or to encourage people to stay back is mostly in the financial remuneration. In fact, I feel like most doctors don't even mind the workload if the financial remuneration meets up with the workload. Because honestly, no offense, but if a kule works hard enough, he can earn a doctor's salary. So I feel like it's important to just increase the financial the salary of doctors and a better working environment. And I saw a question there where there's a question about how do we practice things that we read in textbook and we don't even have the equipment to practice. That's another thing. That's another discouraging thing why people leave. Aside the finances, aside the workload, there's also the part that what they know or what they want to do, they can't do because they are. Imagine reading things in textbook or watching in medical movies or seeing people practice abroad, and you've not even seen the equipment, not to talk of using it. There are a lot of equipment that we are using here that last time it was used in maybe the first world countries, the Western countries, is probably 1950. But those are the things that we are using currently here. And so that is not very encouraging too. So if government would fund healthcare and make it a little bit palatable and better for the doctors, people will stay back. So it's a government thing, and I think they should just up their game in trying to retain doctors. Else, it's going to be worse in coming years.
So, sorry, doctor. What is somebody's asking like, doctor, when are you jackmarrying? Taya said that's wickedness on their own part. If you jackbar, I said you love Nigeria so much. So when are you jackmarrying? So, anyways, I think we're able to do justice to this topic. Thank you so much, doctor, for joining us in this conversation. I hope when next we'll call you. When next we'll call you for topics like this, you gladly answer us. I hope we didn't put too much on the hot seat. Okay, thank you. Okay, next already. So, Tayo, thank you also for joining. Birthday, thank you for joining. Everybody, thank you for being part of this conversation. We appreciate the turnout today. Birthday, thank you also for being part of
He's no
today's
longer
conversation.
online.
I know, I
He's no
can
longer.
see he's chatting. Okay, thank you, Tayo, too.
All right, have a
Bye.
wonderful day. Bye
And you
bye.
too.